Is it right that it's 2 foot in length?
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, what a massive model. Canarak will not stop until it hunts down its prey.
Sounds devilish. I was thinking, what is he doing with a power fist?
Yeah, it's incredible he can lift the thing, if I'm honest.
Hello and welcome to the Warp Source News. I'm Gus.
And I'm Sean.
Going to go through some news today that Games Workshop have released.
Yeah, not necessarily today, just, spread throughout the week. But I think before we get into 40k stuff, we need to give an honorary mention for the 40 years anniversary of Warhammer Fantasy / Age of Sigmar. I don't know if you've seen this. There's some pretty cool historic dragon timeline stuff on the Warhammer website.
Yeah, I saw they have a picture of, one of their first ever dragons, this green thing. That is it right that it's 2 foot in length? That's the general original size of these dragons.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, what a massive model. It's going to give an Imperial Titan a run for its money at that sort of size. Craziness. But there's actually a link to another page, and there are a load of dragons that basically through the ages almost.
Yeah, I can see the evolution of detail, and they've gone almost thin, and then they've ended up almost thick at the end, almost humanized them toward the end. Do you think?
Yeah, it's a bit, I don't know. I'm not really that bothered about the early dragons, if I'm honest. They don't look like they could hold their bulk up on those skinny legs.
Hopefully they're flying most of the time.
Yeah, maybe, or sat on their gold somewhere.
Exactly. I do like the Stormcast versions. They're kind of my go-to look for a dragon.
Yeah, it does. I think the Stormcast are good. I think that the only problem with them is I'm not that bothered about the armor on the legs. I think it makes the legs look a bit strange. But yeah, I do like the head of the dragon's good. The bulk of the dragon's good. It looks like a powerful beast.
Yeah, I agree. It makes me want to buy more dragons.
Cool. Right, so I think what we'll do is we'll put a link to the dragons if anyone watching this wants to have a look at them down under the video. And check it out, because there's some cool kind of historic models there to go and look at.
Definitely.
Awesome. Right, so let's get into the 40k stuff, shall we? That's where the true. I mean, I like fantasy to a certain extent, but I'm not as into fantasy as much as 40k, I must say. So we have some border patrols, Gus.
Yeah, I see that they've are going to release, along with I don't know how new the gaming thing is, some box sets that kind of are pre-built in advance for this new gaming setup. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's sort of to go with the new series, the Ark of Omen series. These box sets have been released. You can use them in normal games as well, obviously, as part of your army. But I think Games Workshop are trying to make more kind of or make it more accessible to build small forces, so you can have multiple armies, much like you do actually with your forces. You've obviously got some Necrons, you've got Grey Knights, you've got some Khorne, and I think some Dark Angels. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And they kind of remind me, these Border Patrol box sets, like the original box sets, or very similar to the first starting kits you get.
Yeah, so they've kind of got a mismatch of units that are they work well together, to a certain extent, and they're usually pretty good value for money as well. Buying these sets.
Yeah, I actually don't know how much the price is. If I can find out, I'll put it in the description. But do you like? I like this Adeptus Mechanicus set. Is it a warp source guy, the main guy at the front?
So I knew you were going to say that, because you like a bit of logic, shall I say? So yeah, you've got this tech priest at the start, at the front here, and some Scutari, I think, mixed in there. I can't remember all the names of all the models. I do like the Mechanicum, or the Mechanicus, should I say, or both of them. That's either pre or post heresy type naming conventions there. But yeah, I do quite like them. I particularly like the like old school robot type models that they have. Very cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned there's a pre and post after war. I'm sure we're going to go into that in a lore episode once, because they look like they've got some rich history.
Oh yeah, they do. They do. Very close ties to humanity. Obviously they are, or they were, or they kind of are human still. They're kind of a mixture of human and machine. But they had some special concessions for them that the Emperor put in place. But we'll go into all that at some point in the future in the lore episode.
Yeah, and then we've got some Khorne Chaos Demons and then a box set.
Oh yeah, so this is where your heart lies, surely. I think you have some of these flesh hounds, don't you, in your army?
I've got is it the large Juggernaut ones? I don't think I've got these flesh hound looking fellows.
Yeah, okay. And then you've got the main big flesh hound at the front of the pack there with 3 heads. That's Canarak. That's Khorne's own dog, shall we say. Once he lets that loose onto some prey, there's no escaping from it. You cannot hide. You won't escape. Canarak will not stop until it hunts down its prey.
Sounds devilish.
Yeah, Master and his dog, Khorne and Canarak.
Yeah, they look cool. These Gene Stellar folk, what do you think about these guys? Do they look a bit plain to you, or do you out of the box sets? These are probably my on the bottom tier.
What do you know about Gene Stealers, Gus?
Do they have anything to do with Tyranids?
They do.
Or is that something else?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Do you remember when I used to have a Tyranid army and I absolutely obliterated your Khorne army? Do you remember that?
No, I completely rubbed that from my memory.
Yeah, well, so these guys, these are Gene Stealer cults. Gene Stealers, they'll be let loose on a planet, and they'll convert a portion of the population through generations to become more and more Tyranid-esque, and then they eventually weaken the planet's forces, hopefully from a Tyranid's perspective, from the inside out, so that when the Tyranid force turn up, they'll have an easier time of taking the biomass from the planet. That's the idea. So yeah, these Gene Stealer cults, that's why they look a bit kind of humanoid. Some of them have multiple arms like Gene Stealers, and they've also got Gene Stealer-esque heads, because they're sort of like multiple generations down the line since the Gene Stealer actually arrived on the planet.
I remember the Gene Stealers now with the extra arms. So where do these Gene Stealers get all their weaponry from? Because I'm looking at Tyranids thinking they don't have any like technology per se.
Yeah, so these are human. Well, they're kind of humans. They're not really. Yeah, they were humans, kind of. So Gene Stealers arrive on a human planet. They convert part of the planet into a kind of mixture of human and Tyranid, and then they weaken the planet from the inside out. So these are sort of human. They've got some human in them. They've got some Tyranid in them. That's how it works.
Ah, right. Makes more sense.
Makes sense. So they arm themselves with weapons and whatnot. They've got sharp claws and things too. But yeah, they use the tools that they can to try and make as much damage on the planet as they can before the Tyranids arrive.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. I remember that now. Now, these next ones, I'm thinking I need some of these because these look amazing. These Death Guard here. Are these part of the Nurgle ones? Am I right? Thinking that
is Nurgle. Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I'm so close to getting some Death Guard, but obviously I'm Orcs until I die. Boom, loving the Orcs. But if I had to go for a Chaos Space Marine chapter, Death Guard would be up there in the decision making process. I love the colours. I love the gore. It's all good.
Yeah, some of these chaps have got big scythes, which is like you don't see a lot of scythes in the game.
So I mean, Death Guard is kind of their weapon of choice, really. Mortarion, he's got a huge scythe. So you know who Mortarion is, don't you, Gus?
Not right now. I'm sure I will do eventually.
So Mortarion is the Primarch of the Death Guard. We will do a lore. So I'm not going to keep saying it, but we will do lore videos about everything as time goes on, and we're going to expand your mind. That's what the whole podcast is about, educating Gus with the lore of 40k. Yeah. But yeah, so scythes are the Death Guard's kind of signature weapon.
Yeah, no, these look good. I believe there's a couple other ones that aren't on this list, like Space Marines and stuff, but or there might even be some Grey Knights. Yeah, these look pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Really nice set of box sets. I expect they're going to keep bringing these out. You know, if they keep making money from it, they're going to keep doing it. Games Workshop are good at that.
Yeah, 100%. Cool.
And then one of the other things we've got on here is the Astra Militarum. So there's some more reinforcements coming for you Astra Militarum players. And there's also, alongside the release, they've got some books that they're promoting. And I think these books might have been around for a little while, but they're sort of trying to help people decide who their commissars are going to be in their armies by highlighting some of the key characters that exist within the Astra Militarum. I'm obviously most familiar with Commissar Yarrick, Sebastian Yarrick, who is Ghazghkull Armak Fracker's kind of nemesis of sorts, with his defending of the Armageddon against the Orcs. But there are some other names here.
So just to recap, for me, the Astra Militarum, they are still active in the universe. Do they have a main foe, per se? Do they have a main battle?
They're basically the meat for the grinder that the Imperium have. So they're the standard soldiers of the Imperium. There's an absolute ton of them. There's not as much of them as there are Orcs, but there's a lot of them. The Imperium, if there's one thing they have a lot of, it's humans. So they just throw these soldiers into the meat grinder and they try and win wars through attrition, mainly. But yeah, Astra Militarum always fighting on multiple fronts all the time. I think the biggest fight they've had recently was actually on Armageddon again. Yarrick, actually, I don't want to give a spoiler, but Yarrick might not be around anymore. Angron, I think, has ended Yarrick, which Ghazghkull's not too happy about. But yeah, they're constantly fighting all corners of the Imperium all the time.
Yeah, sounds good. And you mentioned Sebastian Yarrick. And now when I first saw this picture, I was thinking, what is he doing with a power fist? But am I right in thinking that that's from an actual Orc power fist?
Yeah, it's incredible he can lift the thing, if I'm honest. But he got a lot of respect from the Orcs when he whacked that on his arm.
But does he have an arm, or is it kind of like attached to him, like biologically, like some kind of cyborg?
He lost his arm, I think, during one of the battles against the Orcs, and to kind of spite them, he put an Orc arm on there.
It's a good way to do fancy dress, at least.
If you like. I don't fancy his chances of doing his shoelaces up.
And I'm looking at this Cassius Cain chap here. Now he's got a proper sword, like a chain sword. Would we know much about him? Has he got a big lore following?
So I don't know tons about these other ones, but I mean, in the description here, it kind of makes him out to be a bit of a coward, this guy. So I don't know if he's the type of guy you want to be in your army or not. If anyone listening to this knows a bit more, then please fill in the gaps. I'm keen to learn more about the Astra Militarum. I know about some of the battles that have happened with them, but I don't know loads of specifics about particular characters yet.
Yeah, and I saw that there's a female, I'm going to mispronounce this, Serena Rain. I was just reading here quickly, and that she came to fame by shooting one of her other commanders, because that commander refused to take one of the orders. So they're very much like full on, if you don't listen to us, we'll just end you.
Yeah, it's like I said in one of the other release updates that we did, one of the news casts we did. The commissars are there to make sure that you follow orders and you're giving your all in the battle. That's what they're there for. So if you don't follow an order, if you don't do what they're expecting you, or if you're not doing what you can to try and turn the tide of a particular battle, then they will just shoot you to set an example, basically.
Yeah, it would be nice to read more about these. And these are on the Black Library. Do you know if the Black Library, do they have audible versions of all of these books in general?
Oh yeah. I think you can get paper copy or definitely audible versions, but I'm pretty sure you can probably get a paper copy as well. You probably got more chance of getting an audible book, because I think they run out pretty quick with the physical copies. But to be honest, audible copies are better in a way anyway. You can paint while you're listening.
Yeah, I like to have both, because I like the audible, as you say, day in when you're painting or when you're out, but seeing the pictures brings it almost to life a little bit. And I like to have one day a big library of all these books.
A black library, Gus.
Yeah, well, a leather-bound black library, if we could.
Some sort of demon-skinned library.
Yeah. Are you offering? Are you?
Right, on to the next thing. So just another thing. There's a really cool story that's come out this week of some Navy officers that were playing Warhammer in the Antarctic. The most southern game is what people are saying of Warhammer 40k that's been played. If you look at the pictures, it looks very cool, and it looks like they're fighting on Fenris. That's what came to mind when I seen these pictures.
I'm assuming Fenris is a very chilly place as well as the Antarctic.
I've got to be careful with what I say, because it's one of my favourite places because of the particular Space Marine chapter that comes from there. And I don't want to say too much to you and ruin the story, but it's where the Space Wolves come from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. They were always wearing like quite heavy clothing.
Yeah, they got some pelts. Got to wrap up warm when you're on Fenris. Well, actually, it could swing either way. It's either really hot or really cold. So, yeah, could go either way, really. But it's definitely snowy at times.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I did like that. They went all the way, well, that at the Atlantic. Let's have a quick game, and then that's pretty cool. But I heard this, and this is a rumor or fact. You can tell me that 3.14% of sailors are pirates.
Yeah. Okay. Pythagoras.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I like that.
Brilliant.
Dad jokes. Get all your dad jokes here.
But yeah, if you listened this far, well done. But I guess we'll be back next week. We'll pick up some more news. Hopefully, some more jokes.
Sounds good, Gus.
Cool. Yeah. So that wraps up the short news segment for us for today. Tune back in next time for some more news and rumor ramblings. If you liked it, hit like. And if you really liked it, hit subscribe.
And if you really, really liked it, smash that bell.